Well, thanks for joining us here at AdvaMed. Very exciting.
Pleasure to be here, Joe.
Yep. The technology at advanced scanners. So you and I have been chatting a while now about this, and I'm fascinating because it's very appropriate for so many different categories right now on the imaging navigation side, robotics side of things. So explain the tech to me.
Well, you're right. I think we're hitting the market at a time where there's all this adoption of new technologies, and they're solving a lot of issues, but one of the remaining issues is that none of these technologies actually see the patient's anatomy in real time, and we're introducing is an optical scanner that actually surface maps the patient anatomy in real time, and this solves a couple of problems, remaining problems in the operating room. First is the ability to register the patient, which is currently this time-consuming, arduous process that may or may not be as accurate as the surgeon wants. With ours, you pick it up, it's like a point-and-shoot camera. You do a scan, we get 1 million fiducials in that scan, and we're able to register the patient in 1/3 of a second, about 100 times more precisely than the current technology on today's equipment.
So it's a higher precision data set that the surgeon or work team can acquire and use, and the setup sounds a lot easier, which starts to come into play with the changing centers of care, moving into ASCs and all that kind of work going on right now.
Yeah, I think what we're doing is we're creating a repeatable process that's reliable, and that's what's missing today. By actually scanning these high-resolution, high-definition scans, it only fits one way, so you get very high precision. The other thing that's really important is it's so fast. It takes about 1/3 of a second to register the patient, and importantly, there's no way to intraoperatively re-register the patient once it's lost, which happens almost 100% of the time.
So how is the doctor or the surgeon managed around that?
That's why they get paid the big money. If you ask them how they deal with this, after many years of experience, hundreds, in some cases 1,000 cases, to build the skill set that's needed to recognize the difference between what your navigation system is showing you and what's really in front of you. And then they go through these mental manipulations where they check a couple of points, and based on years of experience, they say, oh, the top's moved like this, the inside might have done this, and then they go ahead to the procedure. But this is painful. This is why these surgeries take hundreds of minutes, because they agonize over these things. And for a surgeon, when we stop them in the hallway and say, hey, would you like to talk to me? And when we tell them it's about brain shift or solving anatomy, it's always a please sit down in my office. This is a huge problem for them. They would love to see it solved.
So did the tech platform start in neuro?
Our initial intention was to actually remodel the brain for pediatric brain surgery cases in epilepsy. It's a very small market. As we kind of got into the market and started talking to the companies that build the navigation systems, they went right to the beginning of the process. They said, this is a problem right from the moment we start a procedure, and we see applications for your technology. So we went from brain, soft tissue, and we worked on spine for a little while, and now we're doing patient registration. And ideally, we'll tie all those together for a much more automated and reliable tracking of the patient.
Does it have to be an open procedure, or have you developed it so minimally invasively, I can go in with a camera, take a picture, and then back out?
We're working on that. So right now it's an external device that can plug into any other piece of equipment, and it's for open. I can look down a tube and things like that, but we're probably 1.5 years from having an endoscopic version. Our technology is miniaturizable, and we want to get there.
So a lot of technologies that enter MedTech come from other industries. Where'd this come from?
This whole technology was the brainchild of my co-founder. Aaron Bernstein is a PhD optical physicist and engineer, and 13 years ago wanted to scan his son and was not satisfied with his infant, and he was not satisfied with the option. So we started working on this technology, had a couple of breakthroughs, so it's under the big umbrella, we're an optical white light scanning technology, but there are some novel hardware innovations that just really reduce our signal to noise ratio, allows us to be much more accurate, and it really simplifies the hardware. Like, things got simpler and better at the same time, which is a nice combination.
So this is a ride-along technology. If I'm a Brain Lab, or I'm an Intuitive, or I'm a Globus, or any of these, this rides along on their existing platform?
Yeah, it's currently being built for a number of potential customers to ride along their existing navigation systems. And a robot is nothing more than a navigated tool. I don't want to, not nothing more, but it's a navigated tool. It relies on navigation, AR and VR platforms. In this environment, all the images align perfectly and everything looks great. But in fact, in the operating room, you can always see an offset. And those are the things we hope to fix.
What's the regulatory pathway on this?
It's a very straightforward 510K. There were known phantoms that our predicates had to scan. You compare your results to some certified body, and if you're good enough, you'll pass.
And so the investors always ask the magical question, what's reimbursement? How do you get paid? What's regulatory pathway? So how are you getting paid on this? Because there are some technologies that, is that just an added value to the surgeon by shortening the times?
That's one of the reasons that we're selling to people with existing products in the market. There is not, we haven't found a reimbursement pathway yet, but the way to get into market fast and scale is to sell somebody who already has thousands of navigation systems in the field. So we initially thought we're going to sell this to hospitals and let them work it out. Like most startups, we had a couple of pivots and pivotal moments where we learned things. And I think we've latched onto a business model that will allow us to scale a technology like the Silicon Valley model is more used to, more so than the MedTech model, because we are a ride-along technology.
Yeah. And so this is a software with a hardware component, but it sounds like more of a, is it a SaaS model, would you call it? A per-click use?
We're still early in figuring things out, but right now we're planning on selling the hardware with software licensing.
Yeah.
And much like an iPhone, once I have this piece of technology in the field and it's gathering data, there's no shortage of potential applications. So we'll develop a lot of things in-house and maybe even have the option to work with third parties and let them develop on our platform their own indications.
So it's a software platform potentially?
It's a hardware platform for software, yeah.
Interesting. So when are we going to get it to market?
I think we're probably 12 to 15 months from us bringing our version through the 510K, and roughly the same timeline with 3 different potential strategics.
How have you found the investment community to date?
This is a complicated technology in a very large but niche space. So it is the strategics that we've been working with for years that get it. It's always a CTO that jumps to the front of the line and says, we need to talk to these people. And the VCs are just starting to come around. When you see the strategic interest from somebody that knows the space, I think it's adding comfort.
Is this your first AdvaMed conference?
My first AdvaMed conference, my first medical device startup, company number 12.
You've started 12 companies, but this is your first MedTech?
First MedTech, yeah.
And what were the other companies?
Everything, so we did manufacturing for cable TV, set-top boxes, end-to-end systems. I've had mail order companies, financial risk management companies. I was Chief Combatives Officer for the US Army for a couple of years, so I started Krav Maga gyms and CrossFit gyms.
So you're a legit dyed-in-the-wall entrepreneur.
Yes, I am. If I see a problem that somebody needs to fix, I can't help myself.
Are you an engineer, manufacturing, finance, project management? How would you force rank?
Furthest from the engineer. Most of my biggest successes have come from finding some brilliant engineer, with a great product. And I'm super excited about having met Aaron. What he's doing was something much harder than I ever wanted to get involved with. But when you look at the use cases, the way he won me over, my wife and I are on vacation, he sends me a video from Dell Children's Hospital. It's these 2 parents, they have their hands on their son. I'm getting choked up, this is a hard story. And my wife and I were on the balcony, I'm watching my kids play on the beach, they're like 9 and 11 at the time. These parents talking about 10 fingers, 10 toes, we thought we were all fine. At 10, he starts having seizures, and then they shoot to here's the kid just had brain surgery, he needs another brain surgery. And when I watched that video, I couldn't help but be like, all right, if I can solve this problem, right, that would give me as much or more satisfaction than anything else I've ever done. So that was for pediatric epilepsy surgery. That's what started us. And no good deed goes unpunished. We're now have really big opportunities to really affect millions and millions of patients.
Welcome to MedTech, where these technologists and these entrepreneurs will move around other industries, but once you can align it with a personal mission, your kid's playing on the beach and a 10-year-old, then it hits home.
Yeah, there's something special. The whole group, I really enjoy the people in this industry are really special, like they're dedicated. You got to make business work and you got to make a profit, but they're doing it, by trying to help people, and that's great.
They all could get a job being much better paid in other industries, but they would never leave this industry.
I got warned away from this industry so many times when I was thinking about it. It's too hard, it's, go do something else, easier ways to make money, which honestly I also took as part of a challenge. Like if working hard is the price of admission and the moat you build behind you, I can do that. That's easy.
All day long. Well, thanks for sharing the story. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You got it. I'm Joe Mullings from the floor of AdvaMed 2022. Be well.